My name is Cassidy Arkin, and I am an innovator of change. Cassidy Arkin is someone who has lived a non-traditional life. So you might see one person who you think is kind of a little zany and a little out there, but I wasn't raised the way most little big brown girls were raised here in America. I was raised in a utopian experiment in a community that was sequestered from the outside world. But I also am a person who has seen and experienced a lot from a very young age. And I was raised by a mother who was extremely talented and intelligent and smart, but also was exposed to and experienced a lot of racism for the simple sheer fact that she was a black woman and she did not fit into any mold. And every opportunity she had to do what she felt was right, she was knocked down. And so in a way, I kind of picked up that baton of this little brown girl, and I've carried it ever since. My official feeling of when I first received the news about receiving this award was, wow, this isn't, are you sure that I'm the one that you are giving this award to? Because there are so many people who I am an accumulation of. So I am honored and I'm humbled, but I feel like this is the award for my mother, for my mentors, for so many women who have never had a voice, who have never had an image or reflection of themselves in a celebratory way. I am just that reflection. It's not just me who's receiving this award. It is every single person who has helped me get to this place and more. I think I have been fighting my whole life to have a voice. I think that the first time I ever actually shook hands with myself and was applauded for being someone who was smart or creative or doing something well was in an industry called the entertainment industry. And so for me, I would love to be able to be a businesswoman or a lawyer or someone who could just do the basic everyday 9-to-5 job. But I don't fit in there, and my personality doesn't fit in there, and I am by nature a risk taker. And so for me, I quickly ADD out of that mode of, oh, I'm gonna go to work at 8 o'clock and come home at 5. I don't want that. I like a challenge, and I like exactly where I am in my life, and I think it found me. And it's something that I've just stuck with since I was very young. My advice for the next generation is that you have to study your craft. You have to know what it is that you want to do. But be brave and don't listen to the no's. If you want to become a DJ or if you want to become a film producer or director, don't be afraid to do it. But make sure that you know that this is going to be a long path. And this is not just going to be about having fun. It's going to be about studying your craft, putting in the work, realizing that it's not going to be easy and it's not going to be overnight. But know that it's something that will eventuate, because the most gifted people are the ones who are taking risks, who are passionate enough to live life on their own terms. But that doesn't happen without having an intelligent and mindful conversation with people who are also in the industry and who have also lived and gone down that path. And I think that because of someone like myself, where there's no real written rule or book or understanding of what it means to be a producer or become a correspondent or a journalist, you're kind of finding yourself while you make those steps. So do it, go for it, but really take your time and study your craft and know your destination, and don't be afraid, be bold. Because I feel that Americans in general are afraid to dream enough to live the dream. I feel that Americans in general are afraid to live their passions because it's almost easier to do what you're supposed to do in mainstream America, which is become the teacher or become the lawyer or become the doctor, and to give up on the dream and to live the American dream instead. Live your dream.
My name is Alex Rias, and I am an innovator of change.
Well, Alex is a bridge of sorts. I help to connect people to outcomes. I help people to understand what their goals are, or help them to visualize their goals, and I help them to reach their outcomes through a variety of different ways. So who is Alex Rias? I guess you can call me a bridge.
How do I feel about being honored as an Innovator of Change 2014? I was surprised initially. I don't do the work that I do seeking this sort of honor out. And the fact that it landed in my inbox, and prompted by, some really good friends of mine who believe in the work that I'm doing, and then to be selected, it's an honor, it's a surprise, it's a gift, it's a blessing. And I know that it's going to be used to help prop up the next generation, to prop up the youth, and to bring a broader understanding of what I do, but others that were selected, what is going on in the broader society. And I think that, it's great, it's an honor, and I'm blessed.
I had a lot of, it was social obstacles. I was just a very shy kid. And I guess I started to say earlier, I was a very shy kid, and I couldn't verbalize myself very well. I had great ideas, I was smart, well written, but in terms of my speaking, it was a severe weakness for me. I was intimidated by speaking. My voice would crack, my hands would shake, I would sweat profusely through my hands. It was debilitating to a point. And I had to force myself, and this was in college where I found my voice, I had to force myself to speak up. So one of the biggest obstacles to me was breaking those social, those interactive obstacles that were all mental, and I just really needed to break through those. Other than that, being a young African-American male in college or in high school, I was always the minority. There were always very few of us, to the point where when you succeeded, they pointed out your success as if it's an anomaly, which as a kid, it felt weird. I'm succeeding because I feel I'm smart. I'm succeeding because I'm studying. I'm succeeding because of this and that. Why is that any different than what anybody else is doing? And it felt weird being the poster child for blackness. When you go into a classroom and you are the only person of color in that classroom, as soon as race comes up, everyone looks at you for the answer. Why is that? This is a society where everyone has a story. And why am I the voice of all of the people who look like me? And so that was an obstacle because it just felt weird. It just felt like, it felt unnatural. And it wasn't until I started to embrace that. It wasn't until I started to embrace that was an asset to me and to my story and to the story of others who felt similarly, that I was able to formulate my ideas, articulate those ideas, and then speak up so that others who looked like me and thought like me could also speak up. Something I learned here, and something I learned in sports in general, was having to push through thresholds of uncertainty, having to push through your comfort zones beyond what you know. You have to understand that your obstacles are opportunities for you to push a threshold that you did not see coming. So that and you have to understand also that when you push through these obstacles, you're not the only one that sees it. You're not the only one that's going through it. There are other people who are watching. There are other people who are looking to you for inspiration, for motivation, and your responsibility in your opportunity to overcome your obstacles is grander and greater than you can even imagine.
I am Andrew P. Jackson, Sekou Molefi Bako. I am an innovator of change. Who is Andrew P. Jackson? Andrew P. Jackson is first and foremost an activist librarian. I come from a family of community active people. Mother was a teacher, father was an activist in the church, and I stand on their shoulders and do the same type of things in librarianship in terms of exposing communities to librarianship, being active within the profession, bringing libraries to the masses. So I don't just sit and wait for people to come into the library, I take the library to the people. And I realized this when we were in my formative years, that part of the responsibility was not just to run the library, but to grow the library. And that what we were establishing and what was established, because the library opened in 1969, so it really had a solid foundation in terms of being a library, being housing a collection on the Black experience, being a cultural institution, and being a homework program for children. And the communities library, that it already had a solid background, but I was here to grow it to the next level. You can't make change if you don't really care, and be passionate about what you do. Not be willing to take no for an answer. That this change is going to happen, it's necessary, it's needed for the betterment of the community, the betterment of the people, and this change is going to take place. So I just see myself as an activist librarian. I don't see myself as an innovator of change. And the more you talked about it, the more I said, And to realize that I have to be considered after 33 years and being 67 years old as one of the elders. It's like, whoa, I have been around a long time, because I still get caught up in that. I can't believe I've been here 33 years. And I can't believe that, and I'm one of triplets, so the three of us are 67 years old now. So it's like, wait, when you hear 67, you think of your grandparents or your great-grandparents. I don't think of me being 67 years old, and we're 67, but my older brother is 75, my older sister is 71, so we're all old. And I was telling Jose Peralta, our state senator, the other day, the old is good, it's better than the alternative, So I don't know what it feels like to be old. I don't know because I wake up and I'm talking to you, and I still see you through Andrew's eyes or Sekou's eyes, but I don't see you as 67 years old. I don't know what that's supposed to feel like. I can't do all the things I used to do, but I can still do more than most people can do. So I just see it as just a couple of numbers that are on my birth certificate, and I represent those numbers.
My name is Christena J. Pyle, and I'm an innovator of change. Christena J. Pyle is a woman who's lived in several different cities. I call Tampa, Florida home, but I've lived in New York for 7 years, long enough to get a little grit, get a little bit of edge. I'm an advertising aficionado. I'm a diversity champion. I'm the director of the ADCOLOR Awards and Industry Conference. What gets me up, first, foremost, is 2 cups of coffee. Second is a work ethic that was passed down from my family, from my mother, that was passed down from her mother. And it's knowing, really, that I get to go to a job that I feel passionate about, and knowing that it's kind of serving the social good of the industry. The least favorite thing about my work is having to constantly defend it, having to constantly defend the need for diversity and cultural sensitivity in our industry. To me, it seems almost crazy that people don't understand the association between a diversity of stories, a diversity of background and culture will make for better and more impactful work. I think having to constantly defend that notion detracts from the energy that could be put into championing it. 3 traits that have helped me get to where I am, that helped me in my career, are fearlessness. I'm not afraid to ask questions. I'm not afraid to ask. I'm not afraid of the answer no. I'm also not afraid to fail. The second trait would be resilience. I have failed, and I have gotten myself back up and have championed that positive spirit and energy to do the work that I need to do. Curiosity. I am insatiably curious, and that lends itself well to my need to understand cultures and nuances and differences. And I think the last is humility. People tell me often that I'm a very humble person. They're very surprised by that. But I'm I'm humbled when they tell me this, and I think it allows me to be closer to people and more endeared and ingratiated by different people. There are 4 things I feel like that are necessary for an innovator of change, and that's passion, compassion, humor, and style. Passion. You need passion to influence, and it must be and feel palpable. Compassion. You have to believe it. You have to feel it. You have to believe it in order to change it. Humor. Sometimes this work can be thankless and arduous and a little bit tiresome. Sometimes you have to laugh it off and keep going and know the real purpose. And style, I ask you, what is innovation without style?
My name is Stephen Peters, and I'm an innovator of change. Stephen is someone who is passionate, who values people, but I think for me, I'm someone who loves God, who believes, who has a strong faith, who recognizes that everybody has a purpose, and I believe in living, in my purpose. I'm someone who really cares about the intellectual safety, the emotional safety of children. And I think schools are places where so many children spend bulks of their time, and they need to be safeguarded, need to be developed, need to be cultured into people who will change the world, because they're people with their own passions and their own purpose as well that have to get developed. What qualities do I think innovators of change should possess? I think they should be people who are not afraid to learn, people who are willing to try things outside of their comfort zone. I think innovator change also has someone who's willing to stay with something for the long haul. When you know that for the most part you enjoy it and you're passionate about it, the only way you're going to be able to make any changes in that culture or in that work that you're doing or whatever it is you're passionate about, whether it's music or whether it's education or whether it's visual art, whatever it is that you need to be able to stick with it for the long haul so that you can have the creativity to do something new in that area. So I think determination to stay the course is a big piece of that. I would say the 3 traits that helped me succeed in my career so far has been being tenacious, having a lot of tenacity, not accepting no when I know there's a direction I should go in, and also I would say faith, really having a lot of faith in myself and that it can be done. So I think those are 3 things that really stick out for me as elements that really help me move forward. People that I'd want to talk to would be Nelson Mandela would be one. I think Jimmy Carter would be another one. And I would say Billy Graham is another person. Now these are all 3 older men who are like way beyond the prime of their life, but I think because each of them really made a difference in the communities and in the countries that they served. And they each had tremendous obstacles. All of these men were fiery men. They were determined, and they knew they had purpose, and they just went after it. And just to hear each of their stories would be phenomenal for me to experience. What role does social media play in race relations? I think they play a big role. I think on a negative, to start negative first, but on a negative, it can really agitate issues that are not that big. I mean, social media, in 140 characters, you get to give an opinion about an event that you probably know very little about. And that could stir a lot of animosity about a situation that people still uncovering whether it was, a racial issue at all. But I also think social media is a great way of communicating the injustice globally that happens from one country to another, from one community to another, and it opens awareness so that people who think that racism doesn't exist, that it does exist, and that we have a responsibility to address it. So I think things like Twitter and Facebook and Instagram, where you can actually post, you post images and create boards around, issues that are important to you, that it really gives people a sense of what racism is around the world, its existence, and how we need to we got a lot of work to do to address it.
Celebrating Black history in the new millennium. Don't get it twisted. Racism exists. We are still fighting to have a voice. And when I say we, I'm saying we as a community of color, but people in America, especially Black people in America, the challenges are still there. And you can weigh them and you can study them and you can look at them, and action statistics will tell you all. So while we're still in the new millennium and we have a Black president, we have a long way to go.
Black History Month is important. It's a time to pause and to celebrate all of the people that have given their lives and their time to allow me to be where I am and afford the comforts that I'm able to afford. But Black history shouldn't just be celebrated in February. We should champion and celebrate that throughout the year. I think when we move into March, we should move to celebrating new history and celebrating the history that we can affect and that we can change year-round.
Too many of our people, especially our young people, don't know they have a history to begin with. Carter G. Woodson, the founder of Black History Month, started in 1926 as Negro History Week, once said, if a race has no history, if it has no worthwhile traditions, it becomes a negligible factor in the thought of the world and stands in danger of being exterminated. And that's why Black History Month is important.
I think Black History Month, and I'm sure other people said it before, but I think Black History Month is the celebration of where we've come as people of color. It's also a celebration of who we are now and what we're offering now. I mean, every day, once tomorrow's passed, that's history. So, there's a lot of people doing phenomenal things in the world of all ethnicities, all races, and there are plenty of people of color who are making great contributions in the world. And so Black History Month is about celebrating the past, but it's also about recognizing all the progress we're making, not just in civil rights, but in career opportunities, in sports, in music. People are not just African American artists anymore. They're taking charge and they're running the companies in ways, they're running conglomerates. So I think it's about celebrating who we are and seeing the innovation that exists now in the lives of people of color.
The significance of celebrating Black History Month in general is helping to help the broader culture understand that Black history is American history. It's within the fabric of what made this country what it is. And to leave that out would be a travesty not only to the current day and the past, but to the future. Because if we don't know and understand the legacy that these folks left, and legacy that others who fought for our civil rights and who fought for our rights of expression in literature and arts and entertainment, if we don't recognize those pioneers, the scientists, the theorists, if we don't recognize them, we are turning our back on what the fabric of American culture and American history is.
What makes me differenter is that there is a path. It's clean, it's narrow, it is the seeming path to success. There is a less clean path that's a little rocky, a little windy, but I choose that path. I choose to go down it and to smooth it out for those who walk behind me.
Well, what makes me differenter is that I'm not all that much different than you. I've just chosen a different route. So it's my hope that by saying this, you choose a route that's best for you, that is differenter.
So if there was no door or there was no opportunity, I would tiptoe around it until I'd find the opportunity. And if that wasn't there, then I would kick down the doors until I finally found my way. That's what makes me a differenter.
What makes me a differenter? I think what makes me a differenter is that I'm determined to live my purpose, regardless of any obstacles and any challenges, that I know my purpose is and I'm not going to settle.
I'm differenter because I am Andrew P. Jackson Sekou Malefi Bako. I'm differenter because I'm an activist librarian. I'm differenter because I'm the son of Walter and Bessie Jackson. I'm differenter because I'm the oldest of a set of Jackson triplets. I'm different because I don't accept things the way they are, because I believe they should be better. I'm different because my parents sacrificed so that I could have the opportunities that they didn't have. And I can't be me and not try to make things better for the next generation. I inherited that responsibility from Dr. Josie, from my dad, from my mom, from the heroes and sheroes who died for the right to go to school, the right to get to vote. The heroes and sheroes we'll never hear about. There's a line to a poem that I love that says, if you can't be the best for yourself, do it for those who couldn't get the opportunity to be themselves, to be the best. You can't be the best, so do it for those who didn't get the opportunity to be the best. I can only be the best that I can be by being who I am. I am Andrew P. Jackson, Sekou Malefi Bako. Sekou means warrior. Malefi means he keeps tradition. Bako means firstborn of the triplets. Bekazezwe means take care of your people. Orbai means teacher. I am all of those things. Most of all, I am an African man living in America, standing on the shoulders of my parents. I am Andrew P. Jackson, Sekou Malefi Bako.